Packaging and prepping your items to send to Amazon is hands down the most tedious part of the reselling process. Today we're going to go over how to do it so you can avoid costly mistakes on your next shipment. I get a ton of questions about packaging and prepping your inventory, so today I have a lot of information to cover. I'll be going over the 3 most common prep requirements and showing demonstrations, Amazon barcodes, also known as FNSKUs, best practices for boxing your items, as well as bonus tips along the way. Now this video is solely going over the process of prepping and packaging your items, but to learn how to create a shipping plan inside of the Seller Central website and physically ship your items off to an Amazon warehouse, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on bell notifications because I will be going over that in my next video. Now the prep requirements that you'll most frequently see are going to be no prep needed, polybagging, and bubble wrap. The other prep requirement that you'll need to look out for is that most items will require you to label the product with an Amazon specific barcode that's also known as an FNSKU. Now, not every single item is going to require this, but in most cases you will have to label the item so that Amazon can scan it in and add it to your store for a customer to purchase. But just to cover all bases, in case you're not aware, Amazon does offer the option to prep your items for you once they've received it in their warehouses, but just be aware that they are going to charge you a fee to do so, and they can add up quickly. And just earlier this year, Amazon increased their fees to where you could be spending anywhere from 70 cents to $1.55 per item for them to prep it for you. Now, when I first started selling on the platform, I took the lazy route, and every time that I shipped something to Amazon, I would have them prep it for me. And if I was to send around 100 units to them, I could be spending hundreds of dollars in prep fees alone. So I would strongly recommend prepping and labeling as much as you can to help with your margins and save you money in the long run. Now for labeling, I do have an inkjet printer, and I print out my labels on these Avery 8160 easy peel and stick address labels. This makes it super easy and convenient to label my own items so I don't have to pay Amazon to do it. And I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below under reseller toolkits of the peel and stick labels, along with all of the other items that I'm going to go over in this video. Now with that out of the way, I'll go ahead and demonstrate what these prepping steps look like, starting with no prep needed. In my experience, this comes up a lot with shoes. And even though I don't have to do anything before packing it, personally, I like to place a large durable rubber band around the box to keep the lid from opening, especially if it's a fully detachable lid. Now next is going to be no prep needed with labeling required, which is fairly common. And again, for the sake of this video, I'll only be showing you how and where to place the labels. But if you'd like to learn where to get the labels from the Seller Central website, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on bell notifications because I'll be going over that in my next video. So as far as label placement, Amazon states that it's required that you do cover the original manufacturer barcode. And there's a lot of confusion around this topic. But to my understanding, Amazon wants to be sure to scan the right barcode the first time around because they get thousands and thousands of products coming into their warehouses on a daily basis, and they don't want to slow down their process. So with that said, my rule of thumb is to cover as much of the original barcode as possible to where it's not scannable, or to hide the original barcode. And I'll elaborate on that in a little bit. The next thing I wanted to go over is polybagging, which is probably the most common prep requirement, and you'll see this for things like toys, clothes, and other items. For this demonstration, I'll be using clothes, but it's pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure that the entire item is inside the bag and the polybag is completely sealed. And for this, you're going to want to make sure to keep various sizes of polybags on hand that do have the suffocation warning on the bag. Now this warning is required by Amazon, and I'll leave a link for that in the description below as well. Now going back to the original barcode, when it comes to labeling items that go inside of a poly bag, I generally will hide the original barcode and then place the Amazon barcode or FNSKU on the outside of the poly bag. And another bonus tip here, if the original tag shows a price that's significantly less than what you're selling it for, you're gonna wanna cover that up. Personally, I just use a blank Avery label to cover the original price, and it really helps to avoid customer returns. Next, we're gonna go over bubble wrap. And this is not as common, but of course for items that are made out of fragile materials like glass or hard plastic is where you're gonna see this most. And per Amazon requirements, the item must be able to withstand a 3-foot drop without breaking. So just make sure that you use more than enough bubble wrap to secure the item. And once the item's all wrapped up, I usually like to put it inside of a poly bag because it just makes it easier for me to label it. Now, something else I wanted to cover with you guys, because I get questions about it all the time, is selling separate items as a set. And the best way to think about this is, even though you're combining separate items into a set, Amazon considers that set one item in which they'll provide you just one barcode to label it. So be sure to package all the items into one poly bag and then place that label on the outside of the poly bag. You're also going to want to use this sticker that instructs the Amazon Fulfillment Center employees to not separate these items and that they're being sold as a set. Now, when packing, you're going to want to make sure that all of your items are secure in that box so you can try to prevent any damages while it's on its way to Amazon's fulfillment center. But even more importantly, before you can even start packing anything, you're going to want to know how to correctly add inventory to your store so that it can be purchased by customers. So for a full walkthrough on how to do that, go ahead and click on this video next, and I'll see you over there.